everybody, welcome back. And check this out. We're going to do the LC9S today here on Family Firearms Review. Now this is going to be probably a 2,000 round review. I've had this firearm for quite some time. It was my concealed carry for a lot of years until I swapped to a double stack 9mm concealed carry. But this is still a great gun and I love shooting it when we do go out to the range. Now, something about this firearm is it's kind of in the middle of the road in these LC9Ss. They do have an EC9S, which is the economy version, and then they do have an LC9S Pro. And like I said in the earlier video, the only difference between this and the Pro is this one has the magazine disconnect. The EC9S differences is it actually has fixed sights that are not adjustable like these ones. We can kind of drift these, loosen them up, make sure they're right. We can even change these sights out if you wanted to. It does have a nice little indicator there so you can see brass if it was loaded, but this is still, you know, one of my favorite firearms that I've carried for a long time. It does have that external safety and that trigger safety, but right now, as I said, you're not going to be able to fire that. You'll have to grab a mag, insert it, and then pull the trigger. Now the reset is nice. Sorry, I had the mag stuck there. The reset's pretty nice. It does have a little bit of take up, you can see right there. But you can ride that trigger safety unlike some of the other ones we've reviewed. I know we just put out the review on the SR40C. You couldn't ride that safety like you can this one. So the trigger in this is actually probably older than the trigger in that SR40C, but this is definitely a way better trigger. Like I said, I've had no malfunctions with that firearm the whole time I've had this. Takedown's a little bit of a pain. You do have to pull this down and push this pin out while holding this back 1/8 of an inch. So it's a little bit harder than some of the newer ones where you just pull down on a tab and can just slide the slide off. Again, you're limited on your capacity. You only have 7-round mags if you want the concealability. They do make extended mags out there, but I was able to use the Ruger mags, and then I even picked up a Pro mag because, you know, Pro mags are a little bit cheaper. They're a little bit easier to get a hold of, and I never had any reliability issues or any issues getting this mag into the firearm at all. So another thing I really like is the stippling. So you can see there is nice stippling on the sides, on the front, but it's only in the good places. So when I did carry this, I didn't have a lot of aggressive stippling kind of rubbing me, no issues like that. When I placed it in the holster, which this is the style of holster I carried, I could just slide it in there. This side went against my back and you could see that I had no issues at all. So it was really great. It's a nice concealable firearm, under 1 inch in thickness. No reliability issues over the years. It was really, really great. You know, the only downside to this firearm and the reason I did end up leaving it was because of the capacity. You have that 7+1, so I could only have 8 rounds. In this day and age, all the nice new double stack 9mm that are coming out, the more, the better. Right. So another thing is the safety on this firearm. It's actually pretty nice. It's not something that you're gonna bump by accident. You really have to put some force into removing it and putting it on. So if you are riding it, it's pretty high up that you're not gonna accidentally bump it if you're in a situation. Also, if you're carrying it, you shouldn't have to worry about bumping it. It is a small little thumb latch as you come down to get yourself into where your hands go, but you do have to put a little bit of effort. So that is another nice feature of the firearm. You don't just have the trigger safety, you also have your regular safety back here, this little thumb safety. So that's great. So with this firearm, one of the cons or one of the downsides to it is the recoil. It is very snappy. There isn't a lot of weight when you do have it on there and you're firing it. It does have quite a bit of muzzle flip. So I know you saw Lauren, she said in our first review that, you know, she was surprised. She said you really do have to hold on to it. But it is a good firearm. She even had a good time shooting it that day.
It's fun, it's just bouncy.
So here I'm going to show you the disassembly because like I said, it's a little different than some of the firearms that are out there nowadays. Like I said, you can get these fairly cheap, the $200 to $300 range. They are a great option if you're on a budget, super reliable. They come from a good company with a fairly good reputation. Rugers are really, really nice firearms out there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it, make sure that that chamber was cleared, make sure there's no round in it. Now you do have to put a magazine in it and you'll have to pull that trigger. Just drop that mag, and then there's a little takedown latch right here You push it down and it exposes this pin. Now all you have to do is go back about 1/8 of an inch and line those holes up. You have to flip it over a little bit, and I use a paper clip, and you just push this pin out, right? So that's your takedown pin, sit that off to the side, and then you're able to slide the firearm apart very easily. Then it's pretty much set up like every other firearm. You're gonna remove your recoil spring, remove your barrel, and then your slide. You can go ahead and clean that up. Nice little simple firearm, easy to put back together. Like I said, the only difference is that little pin. You know, some of the newer firearms out there don't have this pin. That's very important not to lose. That's how the whole firearm holds together. So easy, put it back together. Get our recoil spring back in there. Okay. Then same thing like always, line up your rails. Can just slide that back on there, and then what we've got to do is get that back that 1/4 or that 1/8 of an inch. Drop our little bar in, let it slide forward. We put our latch up, and we're good to go. Now make sure you get an empty magazine. Make sure everything resets properly and that trigger works. Everything looks good to go for us. So that's disassembly of this little guy. Like I said, if you need one on a budget, or you need a budget firearm, or just something very small, this is a great option. I carried it for years. It was my own personal carry firearm. It's a great firearm. Thousands of rounds have been gone through this with training, with no malfunctions and no issues. So I fully endorse this firearm, and I hope you guys like this review.
Thanks for watching our video. Make sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel.
Comment below. We want to hear from you. Get more content from Family Firearm Reviews by joining our Patreon and checking out the links in the description.